Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to the channel. My name is Tony. This is the 15-minute gamer, and today I've been checking out Fargone, which is in early access and came out the back end of last year in December, but I've only just got around to checking it out. It costs £9.99 and is made by a solo developer. Fargone is an RPG-based survival game with a strong focus on creating a living, breathing world through dynamic events and NPC interactions. Set in a fictional land known only as the Barrens, you must survive by any means, whether that be alone or by aligning yourself with a faction. But before we get into it, don't forget to drop this channel and subscribe as I head ever closer to my next target of 15,000 subs. It'll be greatly appreciated. And with all that being said, let's get on to gameplay. Before we move totally into gameplay, just remember this is early access, so things could and will probably change. Fargone is basically a low poly Stalker mixed with like elements of Unturned if you've ever played that game. So how this game works, and if you've played Stalker, it'll be very familiar. You start in a little town, there are vendors and quest givers about, and various factions and zombies roaming the landscape. You get the tasks, you consult your tablet, and off you go to complete it. Once you complete it, you'll get rewarded with certain items. One thing I will say here though is I would have liked to have seen the first few missions and tasks being a bit closer to home. I thought Stalker did this very, very well, and it would have been nice to explore a little bit less at the beginning, and it would have been more fun as instantly you're not into the world and it still becomes a little bit of a surprise once you get out there. There is looting, crafting, building and survival elements, so you do have to feed and water yourself, find and build shelter. So once you're in the world, you'll find like boxes, caches, stashes, enemies and stuff like that to loot. And then you can keep some of it or you can sell it to vendors to make money to get better gear. Talking about the vendors and task givers, they don't have enough voice lines and it really annoys me because like you'll speak to them for the 20th time and they'll still be like, hey, I've not seen you before. It's like, I've talked to you 20 times already and it's the same text over and over again. I think it could just been like, hey, what's up? Nice to see you again. And that would have been fine, but it's not. It gets really annoying. Plus, I would say the stock they carry can also be a little bit limited. I would have liked to see more items here. When we talk about the game world, I would say it's probably one of this game's biggest issues. It's the world's just too barren. The points of interest are pretty nice once you get there. The scenery looks all right, but there's just very little between them and there's just nothing to do. There's not enough zombies, not enough enemies, not enough danger, and not enough to find. It just ends up being like quite a boring walking simulator at times. And you just, especially when you're going back to your home base over and over again, that trek is quite long. There is guys you can find out in the world to fast travel, but they're a little bit expensive. I would have maybe liked to seen a bit of a better system here in the game world brought together a bit more, maybe making them journeys a little bit less or having shortcuts or just something in between. There needs to be a little bit less distance between the points of interest. Also, when we talk about the game world and the story is a little bit too bare bones and I think it needs a little bit of work to get it up to a standard to hold interest for long. Now, there's a lot of guns in the game, so I think it's important to cover. Gunplay is actually pretty good. Everything feels snappy. I did like using the guns. And, you know, even the picture-in-picture scopes are quite nicely done. What I would say is the only issue I do have here is some guns don't clearly tell you what attachments can go on. I think it would have been nice to have like a little bit more of a tooltip or indication of what fits. Finally, to do with gameplay, we'll discuss the AI. It's not bad, but I would also say it's not great. It can be a little bit inconsistent. Sometimes you'll just shoot an enemy and there's like no reaction at all. Sometimes they'll shoot you from miles away. Zombies will just stream in a straight line towards you. And it can just look a little bit rubbish at times, but it's all right and it's something that can be improved. Right, moving on to graphics, sound, and bugs. Graphics, this is one of these art styles that divides people. I think it's mainly due to the amount of asset flips that have used this art style. It gets a bit of a bad rep. It's not badly implemented here. I'm not a huge fan of that art style personally, but I think it looks good. I understand a lot of the assets have been remade by the developer, so they've been removing them pre-bought assets, which is good. The points of interest are fairly decent, but the pop-in even on max, is terrible because you can see so far. I mean, a little bit of fog might have been good here. Sound design, it's not bad at all. Everything sounds as it should. The gun effects are decent and the ambient noise is good. I didn't have too many issues with this. Bugs and performance. Bugs wise, there's just, I don't know, we could be here all day listing bugs. There's a lot, but it's early access. It's to be expected. Performance wise, I have a 3080 and it doesn't run very good. It needs some optimization on this game. And especially, as I said before, with the draw distance, that needs some work. So in conclusion, I was really rooting and wanting to enjoy this game, but it just didn't hold my attention for too long. Like, I played for like an hour or two and I was like, oh, I'm looking forward to coming back to this. I'll try again tomorrow. Went back to it a few days later and it just didn't hold me much past that point. I started to feel a bit bored in the world and the bugs were starting to annoy me a little bit, and the popping and the general just walking around a bit too much was just, it just wasn't holding my attention. It's one of them games that could be good, but the developer's in a bit of a situation. We see it loads of early access where he's going to have to keep bringing out new content and features to add to the game to keep that player base going and growing. But he also needs to fix the bugs, and then when new features come out, new bugs come out, and then can he stay on top of it? That's always the balancing act. I think this just needed a bit more time in the oven, a bit more time to complete, less bugs, and really just something to stand out on its own as a quality title. I don't feel it really stands out enough as it is at this moment in time. So we'll discuss the issues I have. The game world's too empty. The AI and vendors need improved. The AI in general just needs a bit of a rework. The vendors need more line of text, more quests, more items. It's not a bad framework or core premise for a game. I mean, everyone loves Stalker, right? It's just one of those that it has a lot of potential, and I just hope it can be realized. I look forward to playing it again one day when it's complete, but for the moment, I'm not sure I can recommend it unless if you're in for the long run. Right, guys, that's all I have to say on the matter. Catch you later. Goodbye.